2. Catalysis. Eliza serves the ball. The game begins. Swat bounce, back and forth it flies over the net. She's been playing for years at this point, and when she truly gets swept up in the flow state, that feels more literal than the simple habitual sense. Like there's been one long game going on for half her life. The rhythm continues like an old jazz song. The players are swapped out, and their bodies grow older, but the ball might as well be the same as far as she and her muscle memory are concerned. Not unlike the eternal electron. That's sort of how she came up with the idea for shatter computing in the first place. In some ways, those algorithms spinning up in labs all over the planet are just highly evolved branches of this ever-continuing game of tennis. Entering the data is the serve, the ball is those particles spinning up at ludicrous speeds, the shattering is the bounce, then the universe strikes and the data comes hurtling back. Tennis is shaped like a turn-based sport, but it isn't checkers. There was no reason that particle physics had to stay checkers forever either. The game ends with only half of her mind truly remembering how she managed to win. She's gotten good at dual processing. Sometimes it's the only way she's truly able to think. Another little seed that went into her and Cass's brainchild all those years ago. The Lumen Wheel. She savors the name every so often, silently thanking her boss and former mentor for having the humility to give her credit. He could be nice when you weren't in the way of his blinders. She cleans herself up and leaves the locker room, robotically thanking her opponent for a good game. They reciprocate. Half of her mind gets in the car and drives away while the other half continues playing with its toys. Quaternion projections fold, spin, and dance their way between cars and down bike lanes. Imaginary hyperdimensional spheres that roll through her slice of space, blooming, flattening, and swallowing up houses before disappearing into parallel worlds. They have no clearly defined purpose in this moment, but neither does tennis when the day is over. The projections fade away about a mile from home. That part of her mind yawns like a played-out kid, ready for its mom to put in a movie to fall asleep to. The grown-up part of Eliza's mind will happily oblige. Tomorrow, they'll rev up the machine again. The next day, she pulls into the rec center parking lot with an odd feeling in her gut. It's not a bad feeling, just odd. Like when those random variables cause some exotic particle to show up in the wheel, throwing a little spice into the calculations. Sometimes she'd get a little tickle before it happened, though she'd never dare admit such blasphemy to any of her colleagues. She's not all that surprised when the man comes jogging up to meet her in the lobby. He looks only mildly disheveled, like maybe he's been too busy to check himself in a mirror over the past day or two, but he's dressed like he's never seen a mirror in his life. Probably homeless or otherwise destitute and living on hand-me-downs, Eliza figures. He holds out a hand for her to shake. Her cerebellum submits the automated order to reciprocate the gesture, but she overrides it out of caution. His outstretched hand does an overtly casual 180 to land at the scruff of the back of his neck. "Dr. Lumen?" he says. She cocks her head. "Yes?" He fidgets a little, looking first over each of her shoulders, then over one of his own. Apparently satisfied with who or whatever he doesn't see, he lets out a quivering breath. "I don't know how to put this delicately," he says, and at this point I doubt it would make much of a difference. Eliza listens. "You're part of a team that's been able to synthesize a particular object," he says. She furrows her brow at how delicately he was able to put that. Her heart rate rises only slightly. "I'm not sure what you mean," she lies. He stares at her with a pair of dusty brown eyes. It's an intense expression, and her own eyes dart away instinctively. "You don't have to admit it to me," he says. "You won't even see me after today." She does her best to reestablish eye contact. "I'm very busy, sir." He nods. "Yes, I'm quite aware of just how busy you and your team have been as of late." That holistic stare of his quickly becomes too much to handle. "I'm sorry, sir, I have to be going." She tries to step past him, but he grabs her arm. She freezes, fully wanting to wrench herself free and slap the stranger across the face, but fully unable to do so. "You have to destroy the Strangelet," he says. Nobody should know about that. She meets his imposing gaze again. "Strangelet?" she feigns. "I think you've made some kind of mistake." He nods. The intensity is replaced by deep sadness. "Yes, that I have. Should have tried harder to prevent this. No, maybe too late." He squeezes her arm. "Did Kite tell you? Did he tell you about the letter?" She slowly shakes her head, her free hand stealthily descending into her purse for the pepper spray. He relaxes his grip, but does not let go. "Do you know what could happen?" he asks. "Can you imagine how it would feel knowing that you caused it?" "I still don't know what you're..." He cuts her off. Don't answer to me, he says. Answer to yourself. And pray the time doesn't come when you have to answer to God. She locates the internal strength to pry her arm free. She doesn't like this new look on the face of the man. It's something more than desperation. It takes a minute for her sluggish theory of mind to catch up with what she's seeing, but it clicks. This is the look of a man in mourning, like he's talking to the ghost of a loved one, begging for them to come back to life. She shudders and repeats, I really have to be going. He nods, handing her a crumpled scrap of paper. Don't lose that. She looks at it. There's an address and a name scribbled on it in blue ink. What is this? Synthesize kids, he says. Maybe the only people who can help you once you've made the decision. She opens her mouth, some part of her hard-working frontal cortex trying to attack this strangeness. To find the will to assert, once again, that she doesn't have the slightest idea what he's talking about. He stares at her and nods, almost apologetically. She slides the scrap of paper into her purse beside the pepper spray and slowly walks away. She looks over her shoulder once to see that the man is gone. Somehow, she knows he'll be gone from this world entirely by the end of the day. She loses every match that afternoon. The thoughtful part of her brain is allocating too many resources for itself to be able to focus on the frivolity of the game. It breaks itself up into chatty partitions, pestering her non-stop well into the evening. Some parts are fully ready to agree with the stranger. She knows damn well how dangerous it is to have a strangelet just sitting in a lab somewhere on planet Earth. May as well have a nuke in your cupboard. It's a question of ethics. The rational part digs its heels in, unwilling to let these new variables creep into the system at all. He was a loon, it argues. It doesn't have much else to offer, but it's being loud enough to drown out a lot of the other voices. In the end, Eliza Lumen decides that she's not the type to agree with the loudest one in the room. The truth will out, and the truth does out. She's scared shitless of that strange little blob they've got back at the lab. She's never been very in touch with her feelings, but it's a wonder she hasn't realized it before. Truly taking inventory, maybe for the first time in a decade or more, she realizes how much she hates that thing. It's nasty to look at, like a blister on the skin of reality. It dances and wiggles in its own alien glow, shuddering and shifting facets of black and green and silver, bent and refracted as light itself were afraid to touch it head on. She can't help but keep stealing glances at it, haunted by the fact that she'd ever let Cass go this far with their work. With her work. Her imagination's previously playful overlay of graphs and rotations in four-dimensional space is replaced by the image of that canister shattering. The demonic marble within tumbling out and sinking through the crust of the earth to swallow everything up. The nuclei of atoms in the air would spark first. Maybe they would coalesce and fall like snowflakes. Jittering, acid snowflakes that would hit the ground like a million little asteroids. Craters would probably form as the material of the ground became hyperdense. Eventually, the entire planet would be collapsed into a ball of strange matter. Nothing would remain of the billions of years of natural history unique to this world. Every living creature, every intricate web of homeostatic systems that had taken so long to perfect, all of it would be reduced to a homogeneous ball of quark soup. She shudders. When she arrives home again, it's pitch dark out. The primary source of light in her car is that vile green glow coming from the canister resting in her passenger seat. She stares at it. As the raucous deliberations in her brain finally start to quiet down, it truly hits her what she's done. As if it were a murdered corpse, she quickly and shamefully covers the canister with a jacket. What's done is done. She opens the car door a crack to make the overhead light come on and digs through her purse with shaky hands until she finds the scrap of paper the man gave her. He can wait until tomorrow, she assures herself. Tomorrow, she'll take the canister to the Ritters and find out what they know.